Queensland got you, mate.
Yep. Today we're in Brisbane, Australia, and we're gonna ride up 3 of the steepest streets in this city, and they just might be the 3 steepest in Australia.
And as a bonus, we're gonna go on a ride with famous cycling YouTuber Cam Nichols. He told me he has a street that might be worse than anything in Brisbane.
And at first I didn't believe him, but then he sent me the Strava segment, and I stared at the ceiling for about 5 minutes last night, wondering if I should just get on the next plane back to Los Angeles.
How steep? It's very steep.
Steep, mate. We're in Australia. We show you steep climb, mate.
This season of Steep Streets is brought to you by Insta360.
So I've only been in Brisbane for a few days, but one thing I really love already is the infrastructure here. I mean, look at this. There are bike paths all over the city, and there are a ton of people biking too. Like, these paths actually get used. Now, Brisbane's on a riverbed. It was originally settled as like a penal colony, or however you say it. It was a prison. That location, from what I understand, was chosen because it was defensible and hard to escape. And I think part of that is just like all of the steep hills, like 25%. I think this is it. This is our first street, Stoneleigh. Let's go.
Here on the left, you can see the gradient, my heart rate, and the amount of power I'm putting through the pedals just to get up the hill.
If you watch my other videos, you know the rules. No zigzagging. We gotta complete all 3 streets. And last of all, no barfing. So, here's one of 3. So far, so good. Here comes a car.
Those of you who saw the first video in this series know exactly why we have rule number 3. And I'm gonna add a stretch goal to get into the top 25 on Strava for the final street, Gower. But taking a look at the leaderboard has me a little worried. It's gonna be tough.
I have to remember to pace myself. Still got 2 others to go.
If you're wondering about my gearing, I have a 52-36 chainring and an 11-34 cassette. You can see exactly which gear I'm in right here.
You know it's steep when you sit down and it's like 20%, and that feels like you're resting. All right, 1 down, 2 to go.
Let's rank this thing.
I would say it's on par with the streets in San Diego. I don't think it matches LA. It doesn't match San Francisco. A couple of things you can do to like tell how steep a street is. Number 1, the most obvious thing is, does it switch to concrete? At a certain elevation, you can't use blacktop like this anymore. It will just slide down as it sets. So really steep streets tend to have concrete. The other indicator a lot of people talk about is there's no steps, but I've ridden up some streets, both in LA and in San Francisco, that did not have steps, and they should have. So that's a maybe. This did not have concrete. It did not have steps. Still steep. I think the official rating is like 29%, a 29% grade.
Now, a 29% climb is tough, but you can just power through it. What happens though if the climb lasts longer than a minute?
So we are at the bottom of probably Queensland's steepest, I'm gonna call mountain, Obi Obi, and I'm with RCA member and fellow YouTuber Mitch. So what's your plan, mate? How are we gonna tackle this?
Normally when I do these streets, they're all like 30-second efforts, and I don't know, how long is this thing? Like
15 minutes or something, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's not gonna work.
I gotta come clean with y'all. I am not that strong of a cyclist. I just pretend to play one on YouTube. But frankly, it's all smoke and mirrors. If you look at my power curve, you can see my top end power is okay, but once an effort lasts more than 30 seconds, my power drops off into oblivion. The truth is, I make these videos about short, steep streets because that's all I can really do. But Cam, like any good cycling coach, decided to push me beyond my limits. The ride he took me on was just under 150 kilometers, which is like 90 miles. And the steep bit didn't even start until 3 hours into the ride.
In the Sunshine Coast, this is easily the hardest climb there is. 2.7 kilometers, and I think the gradient pinches at about 35%. There is no easy way up. It's gonna hurt. Let's get into it.
I'm in Australia because of all of you. You watched my San Francisco video. In fact, so many of you did that Insta360 agreed to sponsor not only this video, but every video this series to fly me around the globe in search of the steepest street in the world. Extra excited about it because the Insta360X3 is the perfect camera for capturing these kinds of adventures. As a 360 camera, it's extremely versatile. When I'm riding by myself, I can put it on a selfie stick and easily record a third-person view while talking to the camera. The super wide field of view makes it the perfect POV camera too. Although, sticking it in your mouth before going on an intense climb might not be the best idea.
You know this is a hard hill. That's actually like, you've got to breathe up a hard hill.
Yeah, I can do it. It's no problem.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah, cut to me dying.
Will I make it up Obi Obi with the Insta360X3 in my mouth, or will I tap out? We'll find out after this next segment in Brisbane. When we last left me in Brisbane, I was on my way to Reading/Reading Street. However you say it, let me know in the comments. There are two sides to this street, and I'm gonna ride up both of them.
We'll take a peek at the other side. Oh, that looks steep. Oh yeah, it's definitely not this side, but we'll still ride up it. I can already tell. All right. So since I'm gonna save my legs, the other side, we'll stay seated on this effort. Still steep. Maybe not seated. Never underestimate a steep hill. It can be very dangerous, or at least embarrassing.
Now, you may laugh at me for saying it's dangerous and no spoilers, but I rode up the steepest street in the world, Baldwin Street, in Dunedin, New Zealand, about a week before recording this video.
Yeah, mechanical failures. That's what I'm hanging out for.
Let's just say you might want to subscribe for that one.
Wow. This guy's looking at me like, what are you doing? Okay, we're on our way to check out the other side. It looks longer. We'll see if it's steeper. Yeah, this is not as steep as the other side. We're at like 20% right now. $24. It's respectable. Definitely respectable. I'm not gonna lie, I am talking while I'm going up these hills, but that doesn't mean that they're not steep. It's just me being dumb and trying to present and perform at the same time. And you can tell by my heart rate and the fact that I'm dripping sweat. All these streets are a lot of work. Even that one that was like 25%, which compared to the steepest in the world.
How deflating is that?
Now you may be wondering, like, what is a percent? Why aren't you measuring in degrees? Percent is how you denote slope. So rise over run, right? Since we're in Australia, we'll do the metric system right now. If a street is 100 meters long and it goes up 25 meters, that's a 25% slope. Now what that means is that if a road's 100 meters long and goes up 100 meters, it's 100% slope. That doesn't mean it's straight up. It actually means it's a 45-degree angle, which means you have never seen a 45-degree angle street in your life. It just does not exist. You have never seen 100% slope. There's a couple good reasons for that. One, how would you even construct it? 25% is about as steep as you can go with blacktop like this. After that, you have to switch over to concrete. "45 degrees, you would have to engineer that thing just to make it work. Like, those cars could not go up that. The center of gravity is all off. The wheelbase is too short. Your car could quite literally fall backward and tumble down the hill. Since we know 100% slope is 45 degrees, a really easy way to estimate a degree of a slope is just divide it in half. So a 25% grade like this is like a 12-degree road. Now you may hear all of that and think, well, I guess no streets are actually that steep. Yeah, maybe mathematically they aren't steep, but in real life, they definitely are. I dare you to go find a 30% slope and ride upright on your bike. Don't lean forward. And if you can make it up that without falling over, send me the video.
Here he comes.
Obi Obi is long and had long sections of 30%. Some sources say 40% plus, but I've ridden 40% multiple times. This did not hit 40%. First off, you can't pave 40% with blacktop. And second off, I can't survive 40% without doing 600 plus watts on my bike setup. And I didn't hit that in this climb. But hovering around 400 watts for over 6 minutes destroyed me.
Well done.
That's tough.
How did you go? Did you make it the whole way?
I made it the whole way, but I had the zigzag.
That's all right, that's allowed.
It's tough.
Well done.
Thank you.
Did you keep the camera in your mouth the whole time?
No. Halfway up, I was like, forget this. Hold it out, I put it back in before this last little kicker.
Oh, well done.
Thank you. You might want to turn that off because I might barf.
On this whole trip, New Zealand, Brisbane, Obi Obi was the thing I was dreading the most. Later, I learned that my fears were placed in the wrong place. Riding up it without stopping was a big accomplishment for me.
I've done this one other time and I tried to do it on the wind space on a one by and I had to stop I think 3 or 4 times. So this time I brought the BMCT machine, hopefully I can get up.
Now, let's see if I can keep this accomplishment train going and get into the top 25 up Gower Street, the steepest street in Brisbane.
Let's just stop here. And I want you to look at that street. Looks pretty steep, right? But watch what happens if I change the focal length of the camera. You can try every single camera angle that you want, but none of them are gonna look as steep as it feels. And that's because mathematically, it's not that steep. This is a 31% grade, which is 17.4 degrees. If you were to draw a 17.4 degree angle on a piece of paper, you'd look at it and be like, that's not steep at all. In fact, walking up it is not super difficult. But riding up on a road bike is. There are better tools. A mountain bike with a better gear range, just walking up it would be way more efficient. But I'm not doing any of these things because this is the easiest way to do it. I'm not doing it because it's impossible. I'm doing it because it's fun, in a weird way. So, in the spirit of fun, let's ride up this thing.
To get in the top 25, I'm gonna need the ride up in under 38 seconds.
Probably could have done better with my gearing on that. Let's see, 39 seconds. Do I want to try one more? Maybe I'll try one more. we go. Where does it rank? Steepest streets. Feels very similar to Eldred Street in LA, just a much better tarmac. Has like a lead in and then up. I'd say steepness factor, 8 out of 10. Fun factor, 10 out of 10. All right, I'm happy with that. That's a tough leaderboard.
Huge thank you to Insta360 for sending me on this trip. If you want to pick up your own Insta360, there's a link in the description. And if you have questions about how I get all my shots, well, I made a video all about it.
Next video, New Zealand, steepest street in the world.